I stepped away from our table in the hospital cafeteria to take a call from my financial advisor, confirming the final lottery payment transfer, $8.5 million. After taxes, it was still more money than I'd seen in my entire 68 years. When I walked back, I accidentally bumped Marcus's arm as he was reaching for something on the table, and in the confusion of apologizing, I noticed his coffee cup had shifted closer to mine. Without thinking, I switched them. Something in my gut told me to. 15 minutes later, my son started sweating. Let me back up. 3 months ago, I was buying my weekly scratch-off ticket at the 7-Eleven on Morrison Street, same as I'd done every Saturday for 20 years. Margaret, my late wife, used to tease me about it. "Victor," she'd say, "you're going to win big one day, and I won't be here to see it." She'd been gone 4 years now, taken by cancer that ate through our savings faster than it ate through her. I'd promised her I'd keep playing, keep hoping. It was our little ritual. That Saturday, I scratched off the numbers while waiting for my morning coffee to brew. 7, 14, 23, 31, 42, and the Powerball. 9. I checked the ticket 3 times. Then I checked the website. Then I called the lottery office. They asked me to come in immediately. The weeks that followed were a blur of lawyers, financial advisors, and reporters. I chose the lump sum. After federal and state taxes, I was looking at $8.5 million. It wasn't the full $13 million jackpot, but it was more than enough for a man like me. I'd worked construction for 43 years, served 2 tours in Vietnam, and raised 2 kids on a foreman's salary. This money meant I could finally breathe. My daughter Sarah called me crying with happiness. She was a nurse practitioner in Seattle, married to a good man named Tom, with 2 kids of her own. "Dad, this is amazing. You deserve this. You can finally relax, travel, do all those things you and Mom talked about." We talked for over an hour about nothing and everything. It felt good. My son Marcus called an hour later. His voice had that tone in it, the one Margaret used to warn me about. "Marcus sounds like he's selling something," she'd say. This time, he was selling enthusiasm. "Dad, this is incredible. We need to celebrate. Nicole and I want to take you to dinner at the Pinnacle. Our treat. Well, technically your treat now, right?" He laughed at his own joke. I didn't. Marcus was my firstborn. I'd watched him grow from a sensitive boy who loved art and music into a man I barely recognized. He'd gone into real estate right out of college, convinced he'd be rich by 30. He was 45 now, driving a leased BMW, living in a house he couldn't afford, and married to Nicole, a woman who looked at dollar signs the way other people looked at sunsets. Margaret never trusted Nicole. 6 months before she died, she'd pulled me aside after a family dinner. "Victor, watch that woman around Marcus. She's going to ruin him. I see it in her eyes." She married potential, not a person. I dismissed it as the medication talking, the pain making her paranoid. Now, holding my phone 3 months after winning the lottery, I heard her voice clear as day. But I agreed to dinner. Family was family, and maybe I was wrong. Maybe Nicole had grown. Maybe Marcus had matured. The Pinnacle was 2 weeks away, but Marcus called me every 3 days with new ideas. "Dad, you should invest in this property I found." "Dad, Nicole saw this boat you'd love." "Dad, we should start a family business together." Then I had my regular checkup at County General Hospital. Nothing serious, just the quarterly visits Dr. Rivera insisted on for a man my age with high blood pressure. I was finishing up getting my prescription renewals when Marcus called. "Dad, where are you? County General?" "Perfect. I'm 10 minutes away. Let me grab you lunch in the cafeteria. We need to talk." That should have been my first warning. Marcus never just happened to be nearby. He arrived with Nicole. She was wearing designer sunglasses indoors, and a dress that probably cost more than my monthly mortgage used to be. They hugged me, all smiles and affection. Marcus insisted on buying lunch, which meant I pulled out my wallet because he'd forgotten his card. We got food and sat in the corner of the cafeteria, away from the nurses and visitors. "Dad, we have an opportunity," Marcus started. Nicole put her hand on his arm, that gesture that wives do when they're steering the conversation. What Marcus means is, we found the perfect investment property, a commercial building downtown. The numbers are incredible. 40% return in the first year. I'd heard enough pitches in my life to know when someone was selling swampland. I'm not interested in real estate, I said, cutting into my sandwich. I'm comfortable with my financial advisor's plan. Marcus's face fell. Nicole's smile tightened. Dad, don't you trust me? This is what I do for a living. Your advisor is just going to put it in boring mutual funds. This is real money. The answer is no. The temperature at our table dropped. Nicole excused herself to the restroom. Marcus sat back, and I saw something in his expression that reminded me of when he was 17, and I'd refused to co-sign his first car loan. Resentment? Entitlement? The belief that my money was somehow already his. You know, Dad, he said quietly, Mom would have wanted you to help family. That crossed a line. Don't you dare speak for your mother. She worked herself to the bone to give you opportunities, and this is how you honor her memory? By trying to manipulate me? Nicole returned before he could respond. She set down 2 coffees, one for Marcus and one for me. Peace offering, she said sweetly. Let's not fight. We're family. The coffee was in those green hospital mugs, identical except for a small chip on the rim of one. I took the chipped one. That's when my phone rang. My financial advisor, calling about finalizing the trust documents. I stood up, told them I'd be right back, and walked toward the hallway for better reception. The call took maybe 3 minutes. When I came back, I saw Marcus reaching across the table, his hand moving near both coffee cups. I bumped his arm accidentally as I sat down. Coffee sloshed. He jerked back. Jesus, Dad, watch it! In the commotion of grabbing napkins, wiping up the spill, resetting everything, the coffee cups had shifted. The chipped mug was now on his side. The unmarked one was in front of me. I didn't move them back. We talked for another 10 minutes. Marcus pushed the investment pitch again. I shut it down again. Nicole's smile never wavered, but her eyes were hard. Then Marcus picked up his coffee, the one with the chipped rim, and took a long drink. 5 minutes later, his face went pale. I don't feel good, he muttered. Nicole leaned forward. What's wrong, baby? I don't know. My stomach. And I'm dizzy. Sweat beaded on his forehead. His hands started trembling. Nicole's eyes went wide, not with concern, but with panic. She looked at the coffee cup, then at me, then at my untouched coffee. Oh my God, she whispered. Marcus, we need to go. Now. I'm calling a nurse, I said, standing up. Something's wrong with him. No, Nicole practically shouted. People turned to look. She lowered her voice. No, it's fine. It's just his blood sugar. He forgot to eat earlier. I'll take him home. But Marcus was getting worse. His pupils were dilated. His breathing was shallow. I'd seen enough combat injuries and construction site accidents to know when someone needed immediate medical attention. I grabbed a passing nurse. My son needs help. I think he's having a reaction to something. The nurse took one look at Marcus and called for a doctor. Within seconds, medical staff surrounded our table. They were asking questions, checking vitals, and then Marcus started to seize. Nicole was crying, repeating, "It's okay, it's okay, it's okay," like a broken prayer. They got him on a gurney. Dr. Rivera appeared, the same doctor who'd done my checkup an hour earlier. Victor, what happened? I explained as best I could. The food, the coffee, the sudden onset. Dr. Rivera's face was grim. We're taking him to the ER. You should come. Nicole tried to grab the coffee cups from the table. Leave those, Dr. Rivera said sharply. We need to test everything he consumed. A nurse bagged both cups as evidence. In the ER waiting room, Nicole sat away from me, her phone clutched in her hands. I watched her. She wasn't calling anyone, wasn't texting, just staring at the screen. After 30 minutes, a hospital security guard named James approached me. I'd talked to him a few times during my visits. Good man, retired Marine, sharp eyes. Mr. Crawford, he said quietly, can I speak with you privately? We stepped into a hallway. James looked uncomfortable. Sir, I was doing my rounds in the cafeteria earlier. I saw you and your family, and I saw something that bothered me. He pulled out his phone and showed me a video. The cafeteria had security cameras. The footage showed Nicole and Marcus at the table while I was on my phone call. It showed Nicole pulling a small plastic bag from her purse. It showed Marcus looking around nervously, then opening the bag and pouring something into one of the coffee cups. "The one with the chip on the rim," James said. "I was going to report it, but then you came back and there was that confusion with the spill, and the cups got switched. I wasn't sure what I'd seen. But now with your son in the ER, I think you need to see this." My heart hammered in my chest. My own son, my own blood, had tried to poison me. "Send that video to Dr. Rivera immediately," I said, "and call the police." James nodded. "Already did, sir. They're on their way." I went back to the waiting room. Nicole was gone. A nurse said she'd gone to the restroom. I didn't believe it. I walked quickly toward the hospital exit and caught her just as she was pushing through the doors. "Where are you going?" She spun around, mascara running, eyes wild. "I can't do this! I can't!" "Can't do what, Nicole? Watch your husband suffer from whatever you put in that coffee?" Her face crumpled. "It wasn't supposed to be him. It was supposed to be you. Just enough to make you sick, make you confused, so you'd sign the papers. We have a power of attorney document ready. We were going to say you were declining, that you needed help managing the money." The words hit me like a sledgehammer. "You were going to drug me and steal my lottery winnings." "We're drowning, Victor. The house is in foreclosure. Marcus's business is failing. We have debt collectors calling every day. That money, it could save us. And you don't even need it. You're old. You're alone. What are you going to do with $8 million? Die alone in that little house Margaret hated?" I'd never wanted to hit a woman in my life, but in that moment I came close. "Get out of my sight before I say something we'll both regret." 2 police officers walked through the entrance behind me. Nicole saw them and tried to run. They stopped her gently but firmly. "Ma'am, we need you to come with us. We have some questions." The next few hours were a nightmare. Marcus stabilized. The drug was a benzodiazepine, likely Rohypnol, mixed with a sedative, enough to disorient someone for several hours, not enough to kill. The police tested both coffee cups. The chipped one had the drugs. The security footage showed Nicole passing the bag to Marcus. And when they searched Nicole's purse, they found the empty bag, a printed power of attorney document with my signature forged, and a notary stamp she'd bought online. Dr. Rivera pulled me aside. "Victor, if you'd drunk that coffee, at your age, with your blood pressure medication, it could have caused a stroke or heart attack. The interaction alone could have been fatal." I sat in a plastic chair in the hallway and put my head in my hands. My son and his wife had tried to kill me for money. Money I'd won by chance, money that was supposed to be a blessing. Margaret's voice came back to me. "Watch that woman around Marcus. She's going to ruin him." But Marcus wasn't ruined by Nicole. He'd chosen this. He'd held that bag. He'd poured those pills into what he thought was my coffee. My son had looked me in the eyes over lunch and tried to poison his own father. The police arrested both of them. Nicole for conspiracy to commit assault, attempted poisoning, fraud, and attempted theft. Marcus for the same charges. The DA's office contacted me the next day. They wanted to know if I'd pressed charges. I said yes. I called Sarah that night. She flew in the next morning and held me while I told her everything. She cried. Then she got angry. "I never liked Nicole, but Marcus? Dad, how could he?" "I don't know, sweetheart. I really don't know." The trial took 6 months. Marcus's lawyer tried to paint him as a victim, manipulated by his scheming wife. But the video footage was clear. The pharmacy records showed Nicole had filled a prescription for Rohypnol 3 weeks earlier, claiming she needed it for anxiety. The forged documents had both their fingerprints. And worst of all, when police searched their home, they found a journal Nicole had kept, detailing their plan step by step. Marcus's handwriting was in the margins, adding suggestions. The jury took 3 hours to convict them both. Marcus got 4 years in prison. Nicole got 6. The judge called it a betrayal of the most fundamental bond of trust between parent and child. I sat in that courtroom and watched my son's face as the sentence was read. He looked at me once, and I saw something I'd never seen before. Shame. Real, genuine shame. After the sentencing, I walked out of the courthouse with Sarah. James, the security guard who'd saved my life by paying attention, was waiting outside. "Mr. Crawford, I wanted to check on you." I shook his hand. "James, you saved my life, If you hadn't been watching, if you hadn't thought to record that footage, I'd be dead or worse." He shrugged. "Just doing my job, sir. What do you make in a year at County General?" He looked surprised by the question. "About 38,000, sir." "Why?" "Because you're going to make a lot more than that from now on. My financial advisor is going to call you. I'm setting up a fund for your daughter's college education. Full ride any school she wants. And I'm investing in that construction business you mentioned you wanted to start. Consider it a thank you from a grateful old man." James's eyes filled with tears. "Sir, you don't have to." "Yes, I do. Good people should be rewarded, and you're one of the good ones." I didn't visit Marcus in prison for the first year. Sarah went a few times. She said he was different, quieter. He'd lost weight. He was taking classes, working in the prison library. She said he asked about me every time. I wasn't ready. Year 2 I went. The visiting room smelled like disinfectant and desperation. Marcus looked older than 47. His hair was going gray at the temples, just like mine had at that age. He sat down across from me, and for a long moment neither of us spoke. "I'm sorry," he finally said. "I know that's not enough. I know it doesn't change anything. But I'm sorry, Dad." "Why?" I asked. "That's all I want to know. Why?" He looked down at his hands. "I was drowning. Nicole kept pushing, but I'm not going to blame her. I made the choice. I looked at you, and I saw money. I forgot I was supposed to see my father. I forgot everything Mom taught me. I forgot who I was supposed to be." "Your mother knew," I said. "She tried to warn me about Nicole. But she also believed in you. She believed you were better than this." "I wasn't," Marcus said. "But I'm trying to be now." We talked for an hour. It wasn't forgiveness. I wasn't there yet. Maybe I never would be. But it was a start. When I left, I told him I'd come back. And I did. Every month for the next 2 years until his release. Nicole got out a year after Marcus. I never saw her again. Sarah told me she moved to Nevada, changed her name, and started over. I hoped she found whatever she was looking for. I hoped it was something better than money. Marcus got out on good behavior after 3 years and 2 months. He moved into a halfway house, got a job at a hardware store, and started putting his life back together. He didn't ask me for money. He didn't ask me for anything except one phone call a week. I gave him that. Year 5 after the trial, I took him to lunch. Not at a hospital cafeteria, but at a small diner Margaret used to love. We ordered burgers and coffee, real coffee from mugs without chips. "I'm not going to give you money," I told him. "I'm not going to invest in a business for you, or buy you a house, or fix your problems." He nodded. "I know, Dad. I wouldn't ask. But I am going to give you a chance." I slid an envelope across the table. Inside is a letter of recommendation. My friend Harold runs a construction company. He's looking for someone to manage projects. It's hard work, honest work. The pay is decent. If you want it, it's yours. But you'll earn every dollar. Marcus opened the envelope and read the letter. His hands shook. "Thank you," he whispered. "I'll work hard, I promise." "I know you will, because if you don't, you'll answer to Harold, not me. And he's meaner than I ever was." Marcus laughed, and for a second, I saw my boy again. The one who used to build elaborate forts out of couch cushions. The one who'd cried when our dog died. The one who'd hugged me at his mother's funeral and whispered, "We're going to be okay, Dad." Maybe we would be, maybe not. But at least we were trying. The lottery money, what was left after legal fees and smart investments, went into trusts and charitable foundations. Sarah got a trust for her kids' education. James's construction company grew into a successful business, and he hired 3 other veterans in his first year. I donated to cancer research in Margaret's name, and I set aside a small amount for Marcus's kids, if he ever had any, in a trust he couldn't touch, but they could access at 25. For myself, I kept the little house Margaret and I had bought 40 years ago. I fixed the roof she'd always complained about. I planted roses in the garden she'd designed but never got to finish. And every Saturday morning, I bought a lottery ticket at the same 7-Eleven, not because I expected to win again, but because it was our ritual. Some people think money solves problems. I learned it only reveals what was already there. My son's desperation, his wife's greed, but also James's integrity, Sarah's loyalty, my own capacity for both justice and mercy. Standing in line at the 7-Eleven one Saturday, 7 years after winning the lottery, a young woman in front of me dropped her wallet. I picked it up and handed it to her. "Thank you," she said. Then she looked at me closer. "Wait, are you Victor Crawford, the lottery winner?" I smiled. "I used to be. Now I'm just Victor. Did you hear what happened to your son?" "I read about the trial. That must have been awful." "It was," I said. "But we're working through it. Family's complicated." She nodded. "My dad and I aren't speaking right now. Money issues." She laughed bitterly. "Always money, right?" "Not always," I said. "Sometimes it's about trust. Sometimes it's about remembering who you are when everything changes. Give your dad a call. Life's too short to let money get in the way of the people who actually matter." She looked surprised, then thoughtful. "Maybe I will." I bought my ticket, got my coffee, and drove home. The roses were blooming, the house was quiet. And somewhere across town, Marcus was at his job, building something with his hands, instead of tearing down something with his choices. It wasn't the ending I'd expected when I scratched off that ticket 7 years ago. But it was the ending we'd earned. And in a strange way, I thought Margaret would approve. She always said money couldn't buy character, but hardship could reveal it. I proved her right. Again.